Friends, as whatever we do in our previous chapter as well, that is after the completion of the concept, we are required to face some exercise, right? If we'll do some exercise of your indirect question, so whatever the question in your exam will be asked, you will be easily able to solve that, right? So let's solve few questions, few indirect questions, so that you guys can get to know that whether the concept of your this chapter is clear to you or not. Okay, so my first question is here: why is equity share capital called risk capital? So what will be your answer? Capital. So yes, in case your question will be of 3 marks, so how will you gonna attempt this question? In this question, you are supposed to write down the feature of the merits as well as the demerit, or you can say basically few of the features which we have discussed while discussing about the equity shareholders. Over there, we have discussed that even though your equity shareholders will get the payment at the last, they are not having regular or continuous return, right? And or you can say that after paying debenture holders and preference shareholder, if anything will be left as per the policy of the company, only then the equity shareholders will get something, right? And apart from that, that is why it is advised that only those investors who are risk seekers, that is those who want higher returns, can go for high profits, because higher the degree of risk, higher will be the profits. So on the same policy, your equity share capital is basically belongs to. Okay, now after this, coming towards the next question, your second question is: as a source of finance, retained profits are better than other sources. Do you agree? Agree? If yes, then give your view and explain the statement. So how will you gonna attempt this question? See, as if in this case, how retained earnings are better than other sources has been asked. So you are supposed to write down the merits and conclusion as well. And in this conclusion, you are supposed to write down, even though there are few demerits of your retained profits are as well, but still, if we will compare retained profits from the other sources, yes, we can say that our earnings are secure. And why so? Because as if in future, see, first of all, it is flexible, and secondly, these are permanently available, so one is not required to depend on some other, as if these are the owner's capital. So that is why you are required to write down the merit, and that is how you are required to write down the merits with a conclusion. Conclusion is very important, even if yes, there is no such extra marks, but yes, if indirectly we will speak about the conclusion, it carries 1 mark in itself. That is, if you will write down a conclusion in your answer, you will surely get good impression on the examiner, and that is why he will gonna give you good marks as well. Okay, now coming towards the next question. Your next question is question number 3. Can a company grow indefinitely by reinvesting surplus profits. First of all, tell me one thing, which source of finance this particularly belongs to. See, as if first of all it's reinvesting of surplus profit. It means they are talking about retained earnings. So tell me one thing, is it possible that a company can grow if it will completely depend upon the retained earnings only? And the answer is no. Why so? Because if they will reinvest their funds continuously and will not distribute it as dividend, then it will create dissatisfaction among shareholders. And secondly, due to reinvesting, you can say that these sources are not huge enough that one can depend on these sources for growth purpose. So that is why one cannot say that only by reinvesting the surplus profit, or you can say by sourcing our finance to the retained earnings only, one can never grow indefinitely. Okay, now coming towards the next question. So here's a question which says that Shubham Limited has decided to expand its production capacity by modernizing its plant and machinery at estimated cost of rupees 2 crore. It means they want to invest in machinery worth rupees 2 crore. Okay, it doesn't have adequate reserves to finance the expansion. See, they want to expand. They are not saying that whether they want to acquire that machinery on lease and lease financing basis, or they should go for purchasing of it, right? But they just want to expand its production capacity, and that is why they were asking which of the source of finance is good for the modernization. If they are having 2 crore, they are already having 2 crore, so what they can go for? So as if they want to modernize their production capacity, it means they want some long-term finance. And from where they can get that? First of all, they can get it from equity shareholders. Secondly, debentures. Thirdly, they can go for financial institutions. And here they were asked for fourth, right? Institution. And the fourth one can be preference share capital. So these can be the 4 sources of raising fund for the modernization of its plant and machinery. Okay, now coming towards the next question. Next question is, the directors of Shikha Limited have decided to modernize the plant and machinery at an estimated cost of rupees 1 crore, but are in a fix whether to issue debentures or equity shares for this purpose. So you are required to advise the company, the Shikha Limited, that whether they should issue debentures or equity shareholders. So what will be your answer in this respect? See, as if here you are confused between debentures and equity shareholders, you are required to write down the merits and demerits of both on the basis of suitability. That is, equity is suitable for which kind of project, and debenture is better for which kind of project. So you guys can see those who are seeking less risk can go for debentures, and in case the project is for a short period of time and the project is will not be so risky like in that which will be in case of long term, so one can go for debentures. But otherwise, if the project is for a long term and involve huge investment, they should prefer equity shareholders, because it will help one in basically division of the risk as well as the income as well, right? So you guys can see here as the investment is just of 1 crore, and for a company 1 crore is not such big amount. If one is preferring to start company, the 1 crore amount is a small business amount. Okay, so here you guys can now after that conclude on the basis of merits and demerits that one can go for debentures. Okay, so this is your next question. Now after this, let us discuss one more question. Question number 6, which says that equity capital is a permanent source of capital. Explain. So what will be your answer? See, as we have already discussed that equity share capital is first of all honors fund, right? And being an honors fund, one can easily depend upon it. And secondly, it is the internal source of finance. Internal source of finance. That is why one can also depend upon it. So one can say that being honors fund, it is a permanent source of fund, because without honor, no business can exist, right? So similarly, if we talk about the permanent source of fund, it is the honors fund only. Okay, so this will be the answer of such kind of question. Now coming towards the next question, question number 7. It says that your public deposit is a better source of finance as compared to banks, or you can say raising loan from banks. So explain the statement. For this, what you will gonna do? What will be your answer? You are supposed to write down merits as if here it is better source. We are required to write down it as a better source. So how it is merit over the banks? Here you guys can see that even though public deposit require much formalities rather than for the bank, but still bank will be engaged in case of investigation purpose, right? There is no such investigation is done in public deposit, because whatever the information the company provide to the public will be fit, right? Because when one will go for the public deposit, they should be regulated as per the SEBI's Act, and that is why that information is information one can assure that this information is sufficient. Okay, that they had disclosed all the facts which are necessary for the public. And secondly, if we will talk about the cost of borrowing is less in case of public deposits, and we had already discussed this while discussing the merits of public deposit. Similarly, if we will talk about the procedure as well, it is shorter in case of public deposits, and there are various other merits which we have discussed in while discussing the public deposit. You are required to write down all those merits with the conclusion. Okay, here you are not required to write down any of the demerit, because here word used is better. Okay, so friends, these are the various indirect question and such kind of question you can face with the other source of finance also. It's just about the language. The game is just about the language, that how you are supposed to write down the answer. Okay, so for friends, if you like our classes, please download our app Scholars Learning, and in case you have already downloaded our app, hope you guys will be able to make your concepts clear and easy. Thank you.